Olabile Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic headquarters, that is the town of Douala. And of course, in our top stories in this edition of the news, inhabitants of Kumba in the Meme Division Southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon quit the town after the separatist leaders announced a 2-week lockdown following the life jail sentence slammed on Sisiku, AOUT, Tabe, and the other 9 Ambazonian leaders who have been detained in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé. And the Red Cross says humanitarian aid delivered to victims of the Anglophone crisis is far below the needs of the hundreds of thousands of persons affected by the socio-political and security tensions in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The organization will be getting into remote areas of the two crisis-stricken regions to bring aid to the affected population. And out of the country, a new prime minister is sworn in Sudan as the country embarks on a 3-year transition to civil rule. Those were our top stories. Inhabitants of Kumba in the Meme Division in the crisis-hit southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon are leaving the town en masse following the 2-week lockdown announced by separatist leaders following the life jail sentence slammed on Sisiku, AOUT, and the other 9 Anglophone leaders detained at the Kondengi maximum security prison in Cameroon's political headquarters, Yaoundé. And the inhabitants are now scrambling for seats in buses in different parks in the town of Kumba to leave the town, as the lockdown is scheduled to begin next Monday. That will be Monday, the 26th of August 2019, and the lockdown will last for 2 weeks. And of course, the inhabitants of the two Anglophone regions of the country are living in fear and uncertainty after the Yaoundé military court slammed a life jail sentence on the Anglophone leaders detained in Yaoundé. The lockdown will continue to September 16, 2019, and the tension in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon has been rising since the life jail sentence on Sisiku, AOUT, Tabe, and the other 9 Anglophone leaders detained in Yaoundé. Here's an extract of the manager of one of the parks in Kumba. Take a listen.
Early in the morning, people came to the park. People are there to travel. And all of them are going to Douala, Lili. So it's just that we are trying to involve the government to arrest. Maybe they are afraid of what happened on Tuesday early in the morning. So we don't know. We are trying to ask them what is the problem. If it is to cool resumption, we hope we have school here, but everybody is taking all the kids away from the town. So we don't really know. And we are pleading for the hierarchy of the government to see how can solve this, our situation.
By your records, do you have an estimate of maybe the number of persons that have passed through this part in the last couple of weeks?
As to compare to normal period?
Yes, as for the record that we have, the statistics we have, from Tuesday to now, maybe we can more than 5,000 or 7,000 people have gone out of town. And the town is completely empty. You people can also see more than 7,000 people have left the town from Tuesday to now. Because from the agencies that we got there every day, we try to go and fix it.
That was EQUINOXE. He is the manager of the Boya Road Park in the town of Kumba, Meme Division Southwest region of Cameroon. And the Anglophone crisis has killed the tourism sector in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. A correspondent in the Southwest region, Derek Jato, says tourists are no longer visiting the region. His report.
The Southwest region, often referred to as a touristic heaven, is also hit by the Anglophone crisis. But the regional delegation of tourism and leisure is determined to keep the picture of the region positive in order to make tourists come again and savor the rich flora and fauna the region is endowed with.
The regional delegation of tourism and leisure has as its mission to promote the Cameroon destination. And at the level of the Southwest, we are struggling to promote the Southwest destination. We have started with Boya. We know we will move to other places. And we are just praying.
At a close of the holiday leisure activities organized for children by the Southwest Regional Delegation of Tourism and Leisure, Madam Efeti Monono, Southwest Regional Delegate for Tourism and Leisure, said the goal was to instill in these children cultural values and how they can start upholding these cultural values as a preservation strategy for generation after them.
When we have the opportunity, parents send them to us. We are ready as facilitators to give them the knowledge, to impart this knowledge to them. So we thank you.
Promising to make it a biannual event, the kids, just like their parents, were happy with the knowledge received. The closing ceremony took place in Boya at the Southwest Regional Delegation of Tourism and Leisure.
And the Red Cross says humanitarian aid delivered to persons affected by the Anglophone crisis is far below the needs of the hundreds of thousands of persons affected by the 3-year-long crisis, and the organization intends to move into the remote parts of the northwest and southwest regions of the country to deliver aid to the persons affected by the socio-political and security tensions. Details in this report by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
The growing humanitarian crisis in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions and the far north paralyzed by Boko Haram activities is the reason why the International Red Cross is increasing its activities in Cameroon.
We are indeed increasing our activities in Cameroon, both in the far north and in the Anglophone regions, because of the humanitarian needs that we see. Since the beginning of the incursions of Boko Haram in the far north, we have opened offices in Maroua, in Kuseri, and we started having more programs either for the civilian population with assistance program, or we started also visiting prisoners, visiting places of detention where people are detained because of the conflict at the far north. More recently, we started having activities for the Anglophone regions, northwest, southwest. We also opened some offices in Bamenda, in Boya, and we're also launching our activities there.
Despite these offices created for the northwest and southwest regions, the Red Cross regrets that international humanitarian assistance is far below the needs of the suffering people of the northwest and southwest regions.
Actually, the international assistance to people who are trapped, especially in the northwest, southwest, compared to needs is very little. So the main challenge we have is to be able to reach more people who really need the support of the ICRC in remote areas in northwest, southwest. So we work on that. We work on all security guarantees for us to be able to access these people. But it's very true that for the time being, the needs are not covered, and a lot more needs to be done regarding assisting people and protecting populations in northwest, southwest. We are very preoccupied by the fact that many people in remote areas do not have access yet to humanitarian assistance or protection, respect of international law.
With the full will to help, the International Committee of the Red Cross is worried about the worsening security atmosphere in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon.
Concern, worry for us, because we don't want to expose our staff to unnecessary security risk, and for that we need to be accepted. We need to be well understood by all parties to the violence about the real meaning of our activities and the sole humanitarian purpose of our activities. We don't have any political agenda. Our aim are only to alleviate the suffering of people who suffer most because of the crisis in Northwest South.
Being part of the largest humanitarian movement in the world, the International Committee of the Red Cross is in alliance with national Red Cross societies like the Cameroon Red Cross, in charge of social help and other activities similar to those of the International Committee of the Red Cross, which has been silent in Cameroon until the birth of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest, as well as the far north region of Cameroon. The International Committee of the Red Cross says it has done and hopes to do more to help victims of the conflict in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon as well as the far north region.
In the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, jihadis have continued threatening the peace and stability of that part of the Republic of Cameroon, and vigilante groups created to help elements of the National Armed Forces in the fight against the Nigerian terrorist sector Boko Haram are facing several challenges. Hemin Iluga reports.
According to administrative remarks, the vigilante groups in the far north region have been very instrumental in the fight against Boko Haram. Making a total of 14,000 in the region, they have since 2014 provided critical intelligence to Cameroonian forces. Their daily peace-initiated routines have all along not been on a stress-free walkway. Confronted sometimes to the jihadists, the families are quite often eliminated. Today, most of them have abandoned the collaborative fight against the terrorist group as they complain of numerous mishaps not enabling them to effectively retaliate when attacked by the terrorists.
Nous avons perdu beaucoup de nos gardes comités de vigilance, plus de 100 même. Nous demandons le soutien vers le gouvernement toujours, qu'il nous aide toujours.
Based on some non-governmental organization statistics, the Boko Haram has killed approximately 2,000 people in the far north region of the country since 2014 and has displaced hundreds of thousands. Partially answering to their needs, the government has donated some cash and material gifts to members of the third vigilante groups in the far north region.
We're here to hand over the material and financial assistance. They leave all these activities to focus their attention to protect the integrity, the national integrity.
We are going to work with the head of the division, with the head of the subdivision, and you have to be sure that we are going to work with them.
Motorcycles, torchlights, mobile phones, hand metal detectors, and financial supports comprised of the gifts. Being a period to intensify their activities, with school resumption at the corner, it will be of great importance to see the vigilante groups protect civilians and the national territory as they collaborate with the armed forces.
Inhabitants of Bedi in the Douala 5 subdivision are complaining over inadequate potable water supply in that part of Cameroon's economic capital. They are lamenting over the fact that they have continued paying bills even though the taps have been running dry. Details in this report by EQUINOXE.
Bedi is a neighborhood in the Douala 5 subdivision in the littoral region. Inhabitants have as hobby payments of water bills, though the precious liquid has been denied them.
Nous n'avons pas d'eau potable à Bedi.
We don't have potable water here in Bedi. We suffer a lot, and every month bills are served us. When we blunder turning on the tap and fail to turn it off, the bills skyrocket from 900 francs to between 1,000 and 5,000 francs.
Avec 1,000 et poussière, 5,000 même parfois, comme c'est le cas ici, nous n'avons pas d'eau. On est obligé.
We are obliged to have water tanks and drums to reserve water from rain. To supply water in the bathroom, we do local connections.
Et puis on essaye de canaliser pour envoyer dans les toilettes. Sans quoi, c'est invivable.
They also rely on water from the wells or boreholes during the dry season.
Et quand il ne pleut pas, c'est au puits qu'on recueille de l'eau.
When it does not rain, we depend on boreholes or wells. We use the water to cook, drink, bathe, because it is unavoidable. Pipes are broken, bills paid, yet no repairs or maintenance. Once you fail to pay your bills, you are obliged to pay a penalty, which is abnormal. Let those in charge see into the water crisis in Bedi.
Without these boreholes, they think Bedi would have been deserted.
Ici à Bedi, ça fait presque une dizaine d'années. Il aurait fallu que nous rentrions encore en Gongé.
They have gone complaining to Kamwata officials, but their plights seem ignored.
Nous ne payons que de l'air.
They keep paying for air from the taps. Failing to do so, the meters will be removed, like these ones, because the people are sick and tired of offering money to the Water Utility Corporation.
Les habitants en ont marre. On ne peut pas payer de l'air chaque fois.
During the dry season, the water crisis is more severe. According to residents, boreholes are overcrowded and children going late to school if they are not given money by their parents to buy water from those who are blessed with. They plead Kamwata authorities come to their aid by replacing broken pipes, mantling metals, and enhancing constant supply of the precious liquid. Kamwata personnel are still awaited to comment or react regarding series of complaints filed in their office by the disgruntled population.
The new Prime Minister of Sudan, Abdallah Hamdok, has been sworn in. He was appointed as the country embarks on a 3-year transition to civil rule. His appointment comes as Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah Abdelram Burhan was sworn in as leader of the new Sovereign Council. The 11-member council will have a 3-year mandate with that is, they will run the country until an election is organized. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok says achieving peace and solving the economic crisis were priorities, and the opposition hopes the new appointment will usher in an end to military rule. There have been months of turbulence, including the deaths of dozens of protesters. The crisis began with protests at the end of last year when the current or the president Omar al-Bashir at the time was ousted from government after 30 years of authoritarian government. Abdullah Hamdok was sworn in as transitional prime minister on arrival from Ethiopia, where he worked as a respected senior economist for the United Nations since 2011 before stepping down last year. Coming up next, Talking Point. We are receiving a legal mind, Barrister Tamfu Richard. He is a member of the Cameroon and Nigerian Bar Association's senior managing partner of Tamfu & Co. law firms. You're welcome, Barrister.
Thank you, Jonathan Babila.
At the beginning of this newscast, we showed images of inhabitants of Kumbanememe Division, southwest region of the country, leaving the town after a 2-week lockdown announced by separatist leaders following the life jail sentence on Sisiku, AOUT, Tabe, and the others. What do you think about what is happening now?
Well, it's really very, very unfortunate. The leaders who are governing us don't really think before taking their political decisions. We are barely 2 weeks into school resumption, and we thought that the Prime Minister who thought these two regions was clamoring for peace, and at the verge of the school reopening, we have a very heavy sentence on the case between AOUT Tabe and his cabinet at the military court. To me, I think the government has instead aggravated the situation, because I don't see how we can be preaching for peace and we are like trying to set up mechanisms to enable the peace happen, and instead of going towards that direction, you decide to slam a heavy sentence on AOUT Tabe, which you know that That is the main brain behind the crisis we are today. So
and
to
at
me,
the time when
the government is not serious.
At a time when humanitarian organizations, including the Red Cross, are indicating that the humanitarian situation in the two Anglophone regions is fast deteriorating, and the aid brought to the affected inhabitants of those two regions is far below their needs, there's going to be certainly a mass movement of persons from Kumba, as we saw in those images, and other parts of Anglophone Cameroon into Anglophone, Francophone parts of the country, further complicating the situation.
Yes, we are all witness to the degrading situation of this crisis. The international group, the international humanitarian group who is on the field monitoring the activities is she's like overflooded, because the movements of internally displaced, everybody is running northwest, southwest, entering northwest, entering to Douala and maybe other French regions.
The littoral and the west regions in particular that are close to the border with the two Anglophone regions.
Because they're seeking for refuge. So I think the humanitarian situation is really very, very degrading, and I am surprised because it's as if the authorities that govern us don't really understand the stakes or the problems of this Anglophone problem, because it's as if they're just taking it to be a joke. This is 3 years, no schools, nothing is moving. People are living in very deplorable conditions. Humanitarian aid, which is even available, is not even there. It's not sufficient, and still yet we think we keep on playing. I don't know which type of politics we are playing. People are suffering. So to me, it's unfortunate.
Now, as a lawyer who has been closely following up this particular case between Ambazonian leaders, or better still Anglophone leaders, Isiko Ayuk and the 9 others, and the state of Cameroon, from the legal perspective, what's your take on the life jail sentence on these persons?
We witnessed a parody of justice. That trial wasn't fair. I have reasons for saying that. As a civilian, you are not supposed to be tried in a military court. We have both international instruments that clearly stipulates that. Still yet we go on. The sentence was handed overnight. Lawyers, the accused persons continued the hearing without their lawyers, because we the lawyers, we raised preliminary objections, recusing the judge and others, which the court did not want to entertain it. So we said, okay, we will not stand there and render justice in our name. The lawyers left the accused persons. It didn't stop that court to continue. We saw the marathon behind the court hearing. People came to court since 1 p.m., have not eaten, and your judgment is handed at 5 a.m. So tell me, which type of trial is that?
More than 20 hours in court.
So to me, that wasn't a fair trial, and it's really a shame on us, because it makes us feel that Cameroon does not have any judicial system. We can't treat people as animals.
Well, they have been declared guilty.
Yes, the sentence
of a number of crimes.
Yes, they have been declared guilty, but to me, I don't think the trial is not fair. The sentence is there already.
Are you saying that the crimes for which they have been declared guilty are unfounded, or
not that the allegations are unfounded? One, even if the allegations were founded, they are civilians. That's not the proper court to entertain to try such a matter. Two, they didn't have the opportunity to have a fair trial because their lawyers were not there when that sentence was being rendered. And to me, I don't even see why this sentence had to even come at this time, when we are trying to invite people to lay down their weapons and for children to go back to school. To me,
Honorable Jean-Jacques Ekindi, president of the Progressive Movement political party, speaking to the press yesterday on this issue, said the lawyers are using the law, but the verdict or their decision is politically motivated.
Yes, because it's as if all what the lawyers were doing there made no sense to them. They already had their decision, and no matter what, it was supposed to be passed. So I think I'll join issues with him when he says that he's politically motivated, because you see that when the court session is ongoing, you see they'll take a minute of recess. It's as if they're calling hierarchy to find out what should we do and all the like. Well, we all know that that was a political trial, and it was time maybe for Cameroon to really bring to the national and international community that yes, we are before a very important case and will render justice. But we all saw the mockery behind it, where lawyers have no voice to defend their clients. The law is being violated. So to me, the life sentence, to me, it will not solve, it won't resolve this crisis. Instead, it will aggravate it.
And it's coming when there have been calls from international organizations for their release, the release of the detainees, Sisiku Tabe and the others, and they have been much talking about dialogue, inclusive dialogue, to move towards a solution, to move towards a return to normalcy in those two regions, so that the back-to-school campaigns that have been carried out here and there by administrative authorities, MPs, and so on in the two Anglophone regions can yield some fruits, so that children can possibly go back to school in a safe atmosphere come September 2nd. But what happens? A life jail sentence. How can we explain this contradiction?
I started believing the sincerity of the government when I saw the Prime Minister going to the Northwest and preaching that yes, the head of state is ready for dialogue. When they even went further and said that there was a mediator in Switzerland who opted to mediate this crisis, I started believing in the truthness and sincerity of the government. But with this sentence, it has just proven to me that we are not up to resolving this crisis, and maybe it is benefiting some people. The people who it is benefiting them do not want this crisis to come to an end. So all the calls made at the national level, at the international level, by respectable institutions, to me, the people who are governing Cameroon do not want to yield to that. Their own is that this crisis should continue so that it benefits them, and people keep suffering. Anglophones who are just in the two regions continue to suffer. So to me, I really feel very bad.
But that's contrary. What you're saying now is contrary to what the government authorities have been talking about.
That is what
separatist fighters to drop their guns. Come, let us. We want to dialogue. We want to talk about everything. We want everything to return to normalcy. We want children to return to school. And you are saying that they want the crisis to continue?
But tell me, you want children, we are barely 2 weeks from school resumption. You decide to sentence the Anglophone leaders. You are all witness. After that sentence, people are running away from Kumba. I heard gunshots yesterday. So tell me, we cannot be saying that we are preaching peace, and then instead of putting in place an enabling environment for the peace, you instead decide to give a life sentence to their leader. Tell me, so at the end of the day, what are we doing?
Is contradicting the peace initiatives. And
exactly. So we are not. The government is not sincere in what it's doing. You cannot be asking people to drop their arms. You cannot be saying, okay, let's discuss. We are into peace. We put up a mediator, and at the same time, you decide to slam a life jail on the leaders, because I am still very certain that those people in jail are the people that the government could call to the table for any dialogue and let's find a lasting solution to this crisis. But if you decide to ignore them, tell me how the crisis is going to be resolved.
Barrister Tamfu Richard, member of the Cameroon and Nigeria Bar Associations, senior managing partner of Tamfu & Co. law firm here in Douala. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.
Okay, Babila.